Thank you, Jimmy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our new visitors. Welcome to our regular visitors. Welcome to the people on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube. This is the time I always say, if you're watching us live, send us a message so we can send you a link. Then you can participate on Zoom. I'm finding people are enjoying the comments after the service as much as the lesson sometimes. So it's also a way of connecting and having a little bit more of an intimate experience with us. Also, if you'd like to become a member, you just want to be kept up to date on what we're doing, the spirit groups we're offering, and anything else, in the chat or through our email system, send us a note and we will send you one of our weekly, what we call e-letters, packed full of spiritual gems and things that can improve your life. Today I'd like to talk about our principles, but before I start, First Center for Spiritual Living used to be called the First Church of Religious Science, and Dr. Barker was the founder. And every Sunday, they sang a song that was in their program, and it goes this way. I'm not going to sing it. We build a new tomorrow. We draw the pattern clear. We make our plans with wisdom. Our mind is ever here. Thinking makes our future, and actions pave the way. We build a new tomorrow on the patterns formed today. I like to pull that out every once in a while because I think it's beautiful. The time has passed since we would sing it as a group, but we're building a new tomorrow always. We're drawing patterns in our consciousness. And with wisdom, we plan, right? Our mind is ever present in the now. Our thinking is always making our future, and our actions pave the way. We build a new tomorrow on the patterns formed today. So we can take that into consciousness today. We know that we are inseparable from spirit and one with all humankind. We say it another way. There's not a spot where God is not. Or there's, we live and move and have our being in this divine energy. And the realization comes to us in the form of, it's a spiritual knowing. And this knowing fills us up. We know it's true. And we know that all is well. On some level, as you connect with this teaching more and more, and we go into our affirmative prayer, we recognize and we know that there is this spirit, and the spirit is a part of us. And the more we practice this, the more we realize it. And that's really what neutralizes the negativity in us. It's communing with this perfect fact that we live, we move, we have our being in this substance. Through the years, it's been called many names. And I don't really like to call it any one name because there's no name that really can describe it. It is the indescribable. It is the thing that, there's no name that can really define it. But we're inseparable from it. We're one with it. And more than that, as we contemplate it, we realize that all the people in the world, every part of the globe, are part of this one power. It doesn't matter what creed they follow, what God they worship, they're all part of the same divine substance. The other thing we're happy to realize in this teaching is this spirit is individualized, again, in every single person. So no matter, again, what tradition, what color, what creed, wherever you find another person, what you're looking at is spirit in action, divine activity. And so when we think of the word namaste, as we think of anybody, anywhere, in your day-to-day living that you encounter today. Every encounter you're having is, in fact, what we call a holy encounter. And by that I mean it is you, a spiritual being, encountering another spiritual being. And that is why, people salute each other with, in some cultures, namaste. If you have that kind of, if you've awakened to that, I am one with the one, and I walk in a world, and as I move and I look around, everything I'm looking at is spirit made manifest. I mean, that's quite a place to be living from. If you have that consciousness, there's no judgment. If you have that consciousness, you realize, okay, here this person is. They might be acting like a goofball or acting in ways I don't like, but this is God made manifest. This is a human being with the best of their knowing, doing the best that they can. If you can breathe that into your being and know that and practice that, then that'll go a long way towards healing. You'll be one of the exalted ones. You will walk around with a consciousness that is uncommon. And you'll be free of much with that consciousness. So I'll go back to my notes. We understand that this divine impulse or nature is unfolding itself in and through us and everyone. And it's expressing always in higher and higher ways, higher levels of wholeness, wisdom, love, life, truth, power, peace, beauty, joy, all of the attributes of the divine. Now, when these first ideas were expressed, these are ideas of New Thought. You can guess what the year was. It was 1875. So there's nothing new about New Thought. But in 1875, the ideas that I just spoke were somewhat revolutionary. Some people would, in the Western world, they, very contrary to what people were teaching 1875. In 1875, most of the Western world would have thought that humankind is born in sin, plain and simple. And in most of the traditions at the time, we were born in sin in order to sin, and we had original sin or some but we were born in it, and that was our nature, to be sinners, and we really were very dependent upon a relationship with a God that would be our salvation. So that's where we've come from, 1875, 1975. So in 100 and some odd years, we've come a long, long way. In those days, there was a real need for redemption, and those old theologies provided the vehicles and the ways for people to be redeemed. Humankind has come a long way. Most of those traditions, those early traditions that were in America and elsewhere, they've changed a lot, or they're gone altogether. So in the New Thought or metaphysical churches, we were looked at as complete heretics at the time, because we were always affirming that man or humankind are spiritual beings, that we were not created in some simple way by somebody in the sky, and we weren't created in 7 days. In fact, as it works out, we've evolved over the millions and millions and millions of years. But that doesn't mean there isn't, divine activity in the evolution. Okay, there is that thing which is always in creation, evolving us, and it's always evolving us with greater sophistication, greater intelligence. It operates on the outer the same way it operates on the inner, and it's really a wonder to behold. It's just as beautiful, but we've come from a tradition through time where most of the theologies which have now failed believe that there was a guy, I think it was a guy usually, in the sky and with lots of power that was used capriciously, and that you needed to be forgiven, and that there was something missing, something wrong. And in some cases, in different religions, there were saviors and way showers and all of the rest. But what we have taught you from 1875, you were always perfect. You were always in the perfect place. You were always one with the one. And you were always endowed with everything you could ever need in terms of intelligence and ability. And you've always been wonderful. Most of us weren't raised being taught that by our parents, but it's nonetheless true. So most religious traditions that are still in operation, and I can promise you, if you go coast to coast, and especially if you go over to Europe, most of the religious traditions are they're over, they're done. I'm contemplating a trip not too far in the future where I will be looking at many of these beautiful churches in Europe, and I know they're all museums. I still want to see them. But the thing is, it's not just there, it's everywhere. And even with religious science, there's a lot of people, they're just not attending churches. The youth has pretty much discarded theology. The youth, interestingly, though, are embracing the idea that there's energy, and there is energy. They just call it something different. And there's a law of attraction, and that's never gone out of fashion. It still works. So what we were teaching since 1875 is just as relevant now as it was then. It's no longer heretical. What we're teaching now is becoming mainstream. It's the religions of division and the religions that would speak of sin and the idea of duality that are having a tough time right now. And the religions that are in operation now, I was noting from Ernest Holmes, are removing all their worst ideas. They're taking them out, and I can speak of the religion I grew up with. Otherwise, they just won't have anybody showing up anymore. But definitely, they're closing right and left throughout the nation and throughout the world. Raymond Charles Barker on this subject said, doesn't matter what the rest of them are doing. He said, we are standing on our ground. We've always been on the leading edge of this, and we're teaching people how to empower themselves. We're teaching people about God realization or spiritual realization. And we're helping a lot of people to reevaluate themselves, to understand their relationship with Source. I say Source. I kind of like tone down all the old religious words because you don't need to use them. So we help people reevaluate their relationships with life itself, and we help people wake up to the fact that they are spiritual beings and they have power available to them at any time. It's never too late to turn your life around. Yesterday ended last night, always said Barker. So whatever story you've been nurturing for 10 years, 20 years, or all your life, you can really change it if you want to. But willingness is the key that opens every door. You've got to want to. You can't just talk about change. It was Ernest Holmes who said, there's too much theory in our teaching, and there's not enough practice. And I can relate to that because I remember running a spiritual center in Florida, and I encountered the movie The Secret, and my God, the people who flocked to that movie, I've never seen so many people in that center, and they came for 26 weeks, as I remember. But it was everybody looking for something for nothing. I shouldn't say everybody, but largely, it was a little bit of a gimmick, I want a necklace. I want a new girlfriend, boyfriend. I want a better life. I want. And the thing is, you can have many of these things in our teaching, but you have to realize that you're going to pay for them. in some fashion. You know, we say we pay for everything in mental coin. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the universe can't deliver in my life anything it can't deliver through me. So in other words, I have to expand my consciousness in such a way so that I'm able to receive. If I want greater prosperity, I have to have that within me. I have to open up, it was a David Walker phrase, I need to open up a channel in mind so I can receive the good. Now the good has always been here. That's the kicker. The good is always here, and it's just right there, but it's not right here unless I open up an avenue in mind, so it's here. Now, I don't know if that makes any kind of sense. The kingdom, we'll use old language. The kingdom of God is at hand. Okay, well, what does that mean? It means that you live, you move, you have your being in this divine substance. It's here. It's everywhere. But if I'm in the rut of my old thinking, where like a horse with my blinders on, I'm not able to see the good around me. I'm caught up in my judgments. I'm caught up in my evaluations of myself. I'm caught up in what I think I can have and what I think I can do. And the thing is, all those limitations, bar none, are put upon me by me. Or they're limitations that have been put in my life through my entrainment, which is really another way of saying through my growing up. The things that I came into the world and I learned a bunch of things from wonderful people that were my family. And I reinforced all those ideas, and those ideas essentially are a form of prejudice. Now, prejudice isn't a word just used with race. Prejudice just means pre-decided. So if I'm living with a lot of preconceived ideas, that's me being the horse with the blinders on, then how can anything be new? If everything I'm thinking is always, what's been taught to me. So as you come into this teaching, increasingly you want to be in new moments where you just set all that stuff aside to the best you can and have a new moment. Because in a new moment, there's possibility. In a new moment, there can be inspiration. In a new moment where you commune with the great, energy, that energy that's within you, which is always, as Emerson would say, wooing you. It's always there attempting to get your attention. See, it's evolving by means of all of this. That means it's always giving us new ideas. So the last thing we want to do is resist the new information, because that new information is for our upliftment, it's for our unfolding, it's for us to become the greater versions of ourselves, and we are here to grow and to evolve. Why would we want to hang on to what was yesterday? Why would we not want to be open to everything that's good and new? Yesterday, I love Barker more and more as I read him, and ended last night. It doesn't matter what I've been believing, right up to yesterday. It ended yesterday. So we want to wake up each day with a fresh and open heart and mind and be excited about what life can present for us today. In this teaching, Barker thought, and I believe, we're helping a lot of people to reevaluate themselves, to understand their relationship with this source. You can change your life. You can heal your life. That was Louise Hay's great book. You can do it, absolutely. We're responsible. We're the ones that have to do it, though. We have within us everything we could ever possibly need. Today I want to review our basic principles that we hold dear. Many of you are very familiar with them, so bear with me if you're familiar, but I don't think it ever hurts us to be reminded of them anyway. So we'll focus on that. So let's proceed. Ernest Holmes wrote them. I may change a few pronouns around, update them a little bit, but they're still going to be just as true as they've ever been, just like what I spoke of that was put together in 1875. Because we've always been on the leading edge of this, and we believe what we're teaching today is as relevant today as it was then. He starts out by saying, we believe in this energy, this living spirit, this one indestructible, absolute, self-existent thing. It's the cause of everything. This one manifests itself in and through all creation. There's not a spot where it isn't. This manifest universe, everything you can think of, and all the hundreds and millions of galaxies and planets, this manifest universe is the body of what we call God or Source. It's the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of this supreme being, this essence, this creative intelligence. We believe in the incarnation of this spirit in everyone, everywhere. All people are part of it. All people are individualizations of it. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven, this sense of heaven, this connection of divinity, we believe that it is within us and that we can experience it to the degree that we're conscious of it. So we do our affirmative prayers and we become aware of it, we recognize it, and we realize that it's within us and it's operating through us. We believe that the ultimate goal of life is a complete emancipation from trouble, discord of every nature. So we have peace. And we know that we're communing with this great God and it's responding to us. And we're sure that this goal is to be attained by everyone. You know, anyone is welcome to step into this awareness. It's the best kept secret throughout the world, throughout time, is that all of this is within us. We believe in the unity of life everywhere. You know, this energy is in everyone and everything and all the time. We believe in the unity of all life and that the highest notion of God and the innermost sense of God is the very same thing. Okay? You have it within you. Wake up to that and let that inform you and let that inform your decisions. We believe that this spirit is personal to all who, feel this indwelling experience, presence. So do what you need to do in your practice. Meditate, affirm, do affirmative prayer. Do what you need to do so you can experience this indwelling presence. It's surely there. It's always attempting to get your attention. It probably brought you to this very call today. We believe in the direct revelation of truth. We believe that the universe speaks to us through our intuition and the spiritual nature of the individual. Okay? There's not a person that is not spiritual. And that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with this indwelling God. So this source is not for the clergy, it's not for the philosophers, it's not for the scientists, it's for everyone. Everyone is equal, everyone's a part of this, and everyone can tap into the realization of spirit, which is within us, operating through us. We believe that the universal spirit, this source, operates through a universal consciousness, a universal mind, which we call the law of life, the law of God, and that we are surrounded by it furthermore. It's always receiving the direct impress of our thoughts, and it's always acting upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power that we have, through the power of mind, through consciousness. We believe in the healing of conditions, no matter how tough, through this same consciousness, this same mind. We believe that we can impact and control conditions through the power of this mind, through our consciousness. We have unlimited power to use. So as we come into our classes, we give you instruction, how to use it, how to do affirmative prayer, how to live more powerfully, how to drop the negatives and replace them with the positives. It requires some work. I was reading a talk, I almost did the talk called Cancel, Cancel, Cancel by Stuart Grayson yesterday, but it was way, way too involved. Because Dr. Grayson wasn't believing you could just cancel, cancel, cancel. He was thinking you had to do much more than that. So I was half in agreement with him and half wasn't. But the thing is, it's more than just canceling a negative. That's a good start, though, because as you're learning to cancel a negative thought and replace it, that would logically assume you're developing the skills to be self-aware. You're observing your thoughts, and that's really the first step. As you begin to pay attention to what you're thinking, then you can begin to realize, okay, I'm creating these things by virtue of my thoughts. So we start to become more mindful. Thursday nights here, we ask you, what's it been like being you? That's because we're wanting people to become more mindful of what they're creating. So in order to engage this power, we need to do more time. We need to take more time in communing with it and listening to it and allowing its guidance. So the first step of affirmative prayer is recognition, where we're going to recognize rather that we live, we move, we have our being in this divine substance, and we are part of it, and it responds to us. And as we do that, we're going to be canceling a lot of negatives just in the process of recognition, realization. So as we do this work, we will develop greater control over the conditions in our life through the use of this power that we have, this power of mind. We believe in the eternal goodness. We believe that life is unfolding in grandeur and beauty and goodness. Even though the world may not reflect that, we nonetheless know it's true, that there's not a spot that God is not, that it's unfolding in majesty and wonder and beauty. And we believe in the eternal loving kindness and the eternal givingness of life to everyone. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, our own connection with spirit, our own destiny. And we understand that the life of all is source, is God. And so it is. So that's our introduction to what we are, what we're about. We're no longer the heretics that we once were. I think we've become very mainstream. The thing is, though, just to close it for the morning, it requires more than canceling. That was Dr. Grayson's contribution to this morning. We really want to actively, we do want to notice what we're spinning. So it's important to know thyself. That was a Socrates idea, is know yourself. Do your inventories. Pay attention to what you're thinking and what your emotion, what you're feeling. And we don't dismiss it. We'll talk about what we're feeling. We'll honor our feelings. But, we want to replace anything that's not true with truth. So as you learn to live the affirmative life, as we learn to do affirmative prayer, we recognize that we live, move, have our being in this divine substance. And there's power, and it's operating through us, and it responds to us. So Dr. Holmes would say there's power for good, and you can use it. So we come to the classes, we're continually reminded of the truth of who we are, the truth of who our brothers and sisters are, and that this divine energy is operating and alive and well in the world. It's corrective, it's here for us. The universe always has our back. So the invitation always is to invite it into your awareness and allow guidance, because you have within you everything you could ever need. So that's the good news for this morning. It's the best kept secret of all time, but I know those of you who are on the call are learning that you have it. So let's start using it constructively. The universe is responding to us either way, so let's start using it constructively so we can build this great life that's ours to have. So we'll close now, and we'll see you in a moment, the other side of the break, and you can share your good news, you can say hello, and maybe share some of the good things that are happening with you this week or for you. Thank you.